Welcome to Mondays with Vish. I bet you thought it wouldn't happen. We were just building suspense. We're your hosts, Grant Cohn, Vish Kumaran. How you doing, Vish?
I'm doing good. It's been an eventful day so far, and then it was an eventful day for you as well. The audio, we had a couple of issues, but I'm glad we
It was
can
on my
finally
fault.
get going.
It was on my end. Technical issues, figured it out, got my headphones in. Let's talk positivity. The Niners destroyed the Jaguars yesterday. And after the game, I came on and had a bunch of snarky things to say and didn't really give the Niners their due. So it's the day after, and the emotion is gone. Can we just go through a list of all the positive things that you could say about the 49ers at 5-5 through 10 games this season?
Yeah, I mean,
Just
there's
to put it
actually
on the table.
there's a lot of positive things that you can say, and I think there's a lot that's changed over the last 2 weeks. I think for the first things first, I mean the positives you could say the same positives that we could have said when they were 2-5. I mean, you could talk about Debo Samuel, Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, all the Jimmy Ward, all the guys who've been stellar all season long. But to me, the real positives you want to talk about specifically the last two games is one, the 49ers are seemingly finding an identity on how they can win football games. Two, they finally showed some level of consistency, maintaining a relatively similar level of play. First against a division rival in a primetime game with their season on the line, and then having to travel cross country and maintain that same level and not let down after,
Mhm.
winning maybe the most emotional game of the season for them. So that's another positive. You can talk about Kyle Shanahan. His play calling has been brilliant the last 2 weeks in terms of
Mhm.
how he's able to manage his entire offense, how he's able to protect his defense and maximize
Mhm.
them. I think it's been all around as a head coach. His play calling has suited his team and has been exactly what's required. There's so many things you can go. You can talk about the play of Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not turning the ball over. He's playing solid. He's throwing the ball accurately. The Rams game, he played very, very well. I didn't think he played that well yesterday, but he's had a stretch of 4 or 5 really solid games in a row. That's a positive. I mean, you can go down the list. I think there's a lot of positive things you can say. I'm sure you would mention them too, but I
I just want
mean,
to get everything on the table so we don't miss anything because Niner fans want their flowers today, and I want to give them to them. So Brandon Ayuk, there was a lot of hand wringing about
of
Brandon Ayuk early
course,
this season. He looks terrific.
he looks awesome.
Yeah, so
You know,
that's another one.
it's funny, and I was
Trey
joking.
Sermon, he looks pretty
Yes,
good.
Elijah Mitchell looks pretty good.
Yeah,
George Kittle has been great since he's come back from injury. I mean, you
he's
can go down the
finally a
list.
red zone threat.
But here's the thing. Here's what's funny to me, and we were laughing about this on the phone because I saw a little bit on Twitter that, especially because Mr. Roscoe said he was like, "Man, Grant, you were way too negative," and I kept that like thread kept popping up in my timeline, and I
Mhm.
just thought it was hilarious how Grant Cohn's approval of the 49ers is so necessary. Like I personally am enjoying the wins as a 49ers
Yeah,
fan. It's not been a lot of times in my life, frankly, for the last 15 years as a Niners fan that I've been able to enjoy 2 wins in a row. It's
good
been
point.
rough from
Good
that
point.
standpoint for 15 years, so I'm enjoying them. But I see a lot of people real wrapped up that Grant isn't enjoying them as well. And I just find that entire line of thinking kind of funny that you have become so important that you have to acknowledge and appreciate the 49ers. Otherwise, we can't enjoy the fact that
And
they've
like the
played
day
really
after
well the last two
conversation
weeks.
is like, was Grant high enough on the 49ers win? It's like, who cares what I thought? What do you think with the 49ers at 5 and
Exactly.
5? Yeah. So, I mean, at
But
5
yeah,
and 5, it seems kind of an ultimate Rorschach test. They're not good. They're not bad. You can kind of read into whatever you want to see. If you want to see a team that's on the rise, you can find that. If you want to see a team that's flawed, you can definitely see that. They've lost 5 games.
hmm
But more positives. More positives. Arden Key out of nowhere. Look,
yeah.
3 sacks in the last 3 games. He's a positive.
And
D'Amico Ryans.
it's not
Sorry.
just the sacks, right?
Yeah.
He's
Yep.
consistently been a viable pass rusher for them. I think Arden Key the last 3 games has shown he's just flat out a better player than Samson Ebukam,
Yep.
especially if you're just going to use Ebukam solely as an edge rusher. Ebukam has had a very rough season. I know people think he's turned the corner or whatever. He is not the player that they expected him to be. He's not a fit for the wide nine to be used as a nine technique speed rusher the way D Ford is.
Dakota Watson.
That's not his game. I think that we acknowledge that's not his game as a natural pass rusher before, but at least Arden Key is stepping into that role.
Yeah.
You can go down the list, right? Al Shayer has had a couple good games in a
Boom.
row.
Emmanuel Mosley. Nice little
Yeah,
signing. Good player.
he's had a good
Yep.
season.
He should be your starter next year. He's a good number
Jo-
2 corner.
Josh Norman forces a fumble every game.
Hey, nice. Yeah, that's true. Give him credit. Give him credit. And are we missing anything? D'Amico, he's had some
Yeah.
rough games, but he's always bounced back and he's coaching very well. That's a good defense. I feel like it's a well-coached unit. I like the structure of that defense. They just need some better corners. And that's
Yeah.
not D'Amico's fault.
And I think they need a better defensive line too. I think that that's the big problem.
Yeah.
It's not that their
They
defensive
need
line
Kinlaw
isn't good.
back and
It's a
Ford
good
back.
defensive
Yeah.
line, but when
Yeah.
you've invested so much, it can't
Sure.
just be a good
Yeah.
defensive
They
line. It
need
has to
Kinlaw
be
to
a
come
great
back
one.
and be a baller next year. They really do. Are we
Yeah.
missing anything before we move on? Because we're gonna start talking big picture in a minute. Are we missing anything to put
Maybe
on the
did I
positivity table?
mention how good Nick Bosa has been? He
Nick
looks like he
Bosa. Oh
hasn't
no, let's
lost a
talk about
step
that.
at all. Yeah.
I mean, he had another torn ACL. He's better than he was his rookie year, which I found. People were saying he's going to be better. I'm like, really? He is. It's amazing how well he rehabs. I mean, there's a lot of history in it in the family. The dad's career was ruined this way. And I think he's really, really protected his kids, and they're very good at bouncing back. So good for them. That's a really good development for the 49ers. Nick Bosa.
I mean, him, Trent Williams, Debo, those guys have been pretty much, even at the worst of times, they've been playing outstanding as individuals. So it's really tough to, talk about them now today when they've really just maintained an elite, consistent level of play all season.
Okay. So if there's any more positivity, people watching, speak now or forever hold your peace, because we're going to start talking realness. Joe says we're not ready for Thielen and Jefferson at SMH. See, Niner fans are already way ahead of us.
But nobody. I'll put it to you like this: nobody is ready for Thielen and Jefferson.
Good point.
I've not seen a corner guard Justin Jefferson consistently for an entire game at any point in his NFL career.
Niner Bot says Lance is a glorified cheerleader. His only job is to stand in the sideline and dab people up. He's not taking Jimmy's job anytime soon. Okay, let's get right to it. Thank you, Niner Bot. So the Niners destroyed Jacksonville. You could argue that game was over in the first quarter, second quarter. So the most interesting thing about this game isn't that the Niners won or the Jacksonville Jaguars got blown out. I mean, Jaguars going to get blown out a lot going forward. The most interesting thing is that the Niners had an opportunity to play Trey Lance. They played him earlier in the season in close games, but they haven't played him since he got hurt, and they didn't play him until real late in this game. There were 3 possessions in the fourth quarter. They played him on the last one. They could have played him all 3, and in one of those, Jimmy got sacked. So why do you think? Anyway, I feel like most coaches would have put him in that situation, especially once you gave so much to get him. So why do you think he didn't go in sooner?
And this argument could be, by the way, made for the Rams game too. I thought maybe he could have gotten like
True.
2 series at the end of the Rams game.
True.
I don't know. But okay, so the way I see it is originally I was thinking, okay, maybe it's just Kyle Shanahan because of what happened against the Lions and where he took guys out too early. Then they came back. Then he had to put guys in. Then Brett got hurt. And it was all this entire situation. Maybe that made him nervous. But then I felt like, wow, you could put just Trey Lance in with the starters. Because right now, the way I see it and just the way he's been talking about it, I think he just treats Trey Lance as he would treat any other backup quarterback, except he has this opportunity to play on Sundays because he can play in a certain package of plays. So if he had an athletic backup quarterback, he would treat him the same way. And I find that part of it a little bit weird because he's not just any backup quarterback. He wouldn't just be any backup quarterback if he was just drafted by the 49ers, let alone given all they gave up to draft him. He's not any backup quarterback. He's the franchise. He's the future. So I think, especially in last week, he was quoted saying, right, that game time experience is how he's going to get better in experience. And we talked about it a little bit. Actually, I might have talked about it with Jesse I talked about it with you, I think the quote on Tuesday was actually after our show. And then I talked about it with Jesse and I said, to be fair, he might think that experience is just him playing on scout team. He just has to keep getting scout team reps and that's what he gets better. He never clarified that, but I have no answer for you, Grant.
Yeah,
I think that you can ask this question to him. He's going to get super defensive, but
right.
I don't know what the exact plan is. The only reason I bring this up is because I've seen Bill Belichick many a time. I mean, heck, Jimmy Garoppolo, a lot of his early playtime in his career was just in either the Patriots are getting blown out or they're blowing somebody out. And it's not that he would throw in those situations or anything, but he would just come in and run the offense and just get a couple reps at the end of the game. And I think that that's what you were hinting
Good
at,
point.
right? It's
Exactly.
not that he
Like
needs to.
obviously you're going to run the ball. You're not asking him to come in and throw, but as long as you're asking someone to hand off, I mean, wouldn't Trey Lance benefit from like hearing the call, saying, being in the huddle, just doing all the little operation things that you have to do that he's not getting experience with? Also, Jimmy got sacked. That's your quarterback, right? I mean, it just seemed like most coaches in that situation would make that switch, including Belichick. And the fact that Kyle didn't was kind of, it's not necessarily the conventional football decision. So what's going on? My theory is kind of simple, but I feel like Kyle is been in this mode all year where he doesn't want people to tell him what to do. And I feel like people have been second guessing him all year. From the minute they traded up to that pick, everyone was telling him who to take at quarterback. You can't take Mac Jones. You can't take Mac Jones. Well, obviously you could have. You know, he's pretty good. And I feel like he even said that, like, don't come up to me at Safeway. Don't come up to me at my kids' soccer games. Leave me alone. Why is everyone telling me what to do? Why does everyone all of a sudden think they can do my job better than me? I think he's been kind of flabbergasted, like, dang, one bad season and everyone thinks they're better than me. So I think what he thinks is if he puts in Trey Lance, it's like vindicating all the media skeptic. It's because Grant said, Grant was right. Or the fans were right. Like, I think he's trying to make this look.
But
I'm
I
not
don't
going to
look at
do
it
it
like
until it's
that.
my call. Am I wrong here? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't look at it like
Stubbornness.
that because putting
Okay.
Trey Lance in that situation is not what Grant is asking for or what the media is asking for, right?
Right.
Grant is asking for Trey Lance on 3rd and 1. Come on, you have him dressed. You say you want to use him like a Taysom Hill. Why not use that as an option? That's what you're
True.
asking. This is
True.
a normal situation for any
It would
quarterback
not
to
start a
really get in the
quarterback
game.
controversy. Like
Yeah,
Jimmy played
I
well.
think
It's a blowout. Yeah.
didn't Jordan Love get into a game in a similar situation earlier this year? My memory is not exactly perfect of this. There's a lot
I
going in
just
my
don't.
brain right
Yeah,
now,
I just
but
don't understand why he was a part of the game plans the first half of the season and not now. Like, I don't why he played against the
so
Packers. That was a close
they
game.
mentioned it. Did you listen to the broadcast?
Yeah. What'd they
They
say?
talked about it a little bit in the broadcast where they mentioned how once Shanahan doesn't always know what looks he's going to get when Trey Lance is in at quarterback, so it's a little bit trial by error.
Okay.
And he always talks about how he puts him in based on what looks he's anticipating. But I guess maybe early in the season when he put him in, he wasn't getting the looks that he was anticipating. So because of that trial by error, they basically said if the offense kind of has a rhythm and flow, it's not even about Jimmy. He doesn't want to kill his own flow as a play caller by changing up what
Okay.
they're doing. That's how they described it on the broadcast. And maybe that's a valid reason. Look, I think it's really difficult to read into this situation because it really could be
It's
much to about
so hard.
nothing.
It's so hard.
But I just don't understand. Like that game to me was so it would have been totally incontroversial for Trey
Right.
Lance to get
Yeah,
3 quick
exactly.
series in that game.
It's almost more
Nobody would have made
controversial to do
anything
this.
about it.
It's almost more controversial to do this, although
Yeah.
the national media doesn't really nitpick the 49ers because we're so far out here. And the local media is celebrating the 49ers being 5-5 and being on a 2-game winning streak. So this is kind of just my thing, our thing. I just think I'm not outraged. I'm just so surprised. I feel like
Yeah, it is
so
surprising.
surprised. I mean,
I was
we know
surprised during the
Belichick did it.
Rams game.
We know Belichick would do this. I think Bill Walsh probably would have done it too. I mean, for example, not three. There were three series in the fourth quarter. You don't put them in the first one, but the second one after the fumble, starting off in their territory, that's a great place. You know, nothing bad can happen. You're just handing off, but no, and you waited one more. That's fine. Okay, okay. At least he got in the game for 3 plays, 4 plays. They got to take the knee. That was good experience. Now he knows how to take a knee. It's new. That was new for him. That was good.
No, I agree with you. I felt that way a little bit during the Rams game because honestly, he doesn't have to throw the football, right? He
Nope.
doesn't have to throw the
Nope.
football to
He could
get
hand
reps,
off.
and he could run himself.
Run
And
himself.
I don't. It would really be much to do about nothing
Yeah.
because the game would be kind of ended. and he would be playing with it would just be him getting reps, and it would be nice and easy for him. Just he played in the game. Maybe he has a reason. Unfortunately, he's very unwilling to give an answer on this particular question. I think that if maybe you or Eric Branch weren't the people asking, he might answer. But since you guys are the two that
He
ask
won't
it every
answer. I
presser,
know. I just don't think he'll
uh,
answer. Everyone's tried to ask him, and he won't answer. But to me, just knowing him the way I do, I just feel like he's been. There's a lot of pressure on him to play Trey Lance from everywhere. The media, the fans, everyone feels like it's conventional wisdom that he's doing the wrong thing. And for him to start playing Lance, I think in his mind, I'm guessing he would look at it as like capitulating to the mob, and he doesn't want. To his credit, he wants to stand his ground and say that, damn it, I know what I'm doing. And when I play him is when I play him, and it'll be the right time. And stop telling me what to do. I think there's a little bit of him being like in this meta dialogue with his critics. In this, he tries to say it's noise, right? It's just noise, but it annoys him. It really annoys him, and he can't tune out the whole world saying Kyle's an idiot for not playing Trey Lance. It's like, oh my god! Part of him wants to say, you still think you could do my job? Well, now we just won 2 games in a row. Oh, you're going to nitpick me now? I think there's part of him that wants to feel like, look, when Trey Lance is ready is exactly when I freaking say it. It's not going to look like I got pressured into doing it by anyone. That's the way I look at it. But I'm always
you're an
wrong. And I
incredible
change my mind.
storyteller.
I change my mind every few weeks, but that's the way it looks to me right now. I know him, and he's stubborn, and he's mentioned. It's just
I
noise, but I hear it, and leave
I
me
love the
alone.
way you laid that out, though.
Thanks.
I
Thanks.
was not convinced, I was not agreeing with you, and then you kind of laid it out, and I'm just listening to you talk, and like you're really persuasive, and
Well,
you're a
thank
good
you.
storyteller, and then I'm all of a sudden like,
Thank you. English
"Ooh,
major at
maybe he's
UCLA.
onto something."
All
But
right. It's just
the
something to
the
think
the one
about.
thing I did
They
want to
could use Trey
mention,
Lance a lot next week. Something to think about.
I do think the most important thing here to mention before we move on is, and somebody did confirm this in the comment section with a donation, saying that Jordan Love did get in for Green Bay in a blowout. It was to the Saints, so it was a blowout the other way, but a blowout nonetheless. Is that it's unconventional for the young quarterback to not see time. It's
In
it's actually
2012, when the Niners were really good and they blew out the Jets in New York, did Kaepernick
Kaepernick
get
out of
any
the
time?
game. Yeah.
It's
Well,
not.
that
It's
was the
what
game.
happens.
They had Kaepernick in the game, right? Um
Yeah,
that was the first game he was in the game plan because they lost that ugly game at home after
right.
Aldon Smith's
That's
incident
true. That's true.
in the
To the
morning.
Colts. To
Yeah.
the Colts. To the
Yeah.
Colts. I remember when I was a kid, and the Niners used to blow teams out every few weeks. The way the game would look, you knew the game was over when Steve Young and Jerry Rice were standing on the sidelines with their hats on, and Elvis Grbac was in the game. Elvis
And
Grbac played a lot for the 49ers because the
Brian
games were
Hoyer
over.
got three Brian Hoyer got 3 series on against the
Yeah,
Browns
it's
back then.
standard, baby. It's standard. So the fact that this didn't happen is like, okay, Kyle, like what are you trying to head off? Who are you? What statement are you trying to make into who? And I think it's a lot to his critics. Oh, you're telling me when to do this or this? Or I have to do this or this is the right call? I know what I'm going to do. And if you think it sounds weird, I don't care because I know better than you. And if I'm
Let me ask
confusing
you a
you, good.
question. Let me let me ask you a
if
question
you're
real quick.
if you're lost, good. Trust me.
Did the defense get the backups on defense get one more series? I thought Ambry Thomas and Diamador Lenore were into the game before Trey Lance.
Yes,
They did?
yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
All right, let's answer some of these questions. NorCal Trocas says Jimmy Garoppolo is playing like a goat. I don't think there's another quarterback out there that can hand the ball to running back like him. Hey, Jimmy is playing the best of his abilities right now. I'll give him salute. He's not even turning the ball over. That's great. The best
Yeah.
stretch of his career. I don't know. I got to find out, but I got sources that'll tell me where Chardall is. I don't think the Vikes are ready for Debo and Uke. That's a good point. The Vikes have a terrible defense statistically. I just saw that. What is that? It's going to be could be a high scoring game. The noise around any moment Trey plays, people lose their minds. He's trying to focus the team on winning. I get it, but not saying it's a good plan. Possible. There's a lot of noise around Trey. It's a little bit like
Yeah, but
Bigger
I
than the
see.
team
I
and bigger than
don't
the
buy
season.
that as an excuse for him because when you trade that much up for a quarterback,
Gotta
you
expect
know
it.
there's going to be noise around him.
Gotta
So
expect it.
people
Good
want
point.
to see him, the
Yeah.
quarterback, improving as much as they want to see you win.
People are acting like it's the media overhyping some third round pick that had a good camp. Like, no. This is the third pick in the draft. You traded up.
Yeah.
Like, you overhyped him. None of us was like, you know what the Niners need to do this offseason? Trade up to number 3. You got to trade up to number 3. No, that was your plan.
No, I don't, and I think it's something, and I've mentioned this multiple times on this show. I feel like Niners fans are a little bit numb, or I'm a Niners fan. So I think there are people who are my peers within this fan base who are a little bit numb to the fact that they're just like, oh, they traded this much because that's what they had to do to get a quarterback,
Had
and
to.
it's all about next year. But that's not really how this works. And any other quarterback, if any other team trades up that much a month before the draft to go draft a quarterback at number 3 after a quarterback goes 1 and a quarterback goes 2, we would be hearing the same exact conversation.
As you said, thank you, Jamal. Friend of the show.
The man, Jamal.
Yeah. I got to say, the three of us, there was some more, my wife was there too. We had Oakland Chicago style pizza, which I think
That was good.
it was good, right?
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
good.
good.
The
I've
star.
had pizza twice in Oakland, and I've thought it's been excellent both times.
Thanks, man. All right. Dude says, is Samuel the best offensive weapon in the NFL? Jonathan
Yeah.
Taylor's good too, but Debo can do more.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor isn't the receiver.
Not a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Does
think he
Debo
is.
have a reasonable chance to be considered for NFL MVP if he keeps it up and the Niners are in contention? I think yes.
Yeah.
The positional
100%.
versatility like brings him to a new level, you know.
Without him, do they have
Yeah.
5 wins? I say absolutely not. I don't think there's any other player, maybe Trent Williams, that you could make that argument for on this offense.
Yeah. I think Debo does have a legit shot, but there's more time.
It's Percy Harvin 2012.
Yeah. Percy Harvin. I think that when he came out of college, he was compared to a combination of Percy Harvin and Anquan Bolden, which was just dead on. It was dead on. It's exactly what he is. Thank you for the $10. We have Rams and
I think
Jags. Did he? If he did, I can get it. Do you see? Where is it? Oh, I got you. He comes on.
Yeah.
I'll get you right now then. Great show, guys. Thank you. Your dynamic on these Mondays is perfect. Vish is the man. Grant, for all the money Vish is making, you get him a better mic camera. Maybe that Rob Shu uses. You can use this $10. Good idea, Vish. I'll hook you up. I will hook Vish up with a better system. I got you, buddy.
No, part of it is also just where I live. My room is in the basement of a house, so like no matter what, this is kind of the best setup
No, I
I'm
gotta
gonna get.
send a Blue Yeti your way. I will. That's a good idea. I'm gonna send him a Blue Yeti so we can get the audio better. I'm gonna hook you up, baby, and I'm just gonna charge it to the to the viewers. Good call. We have Rams and Jags suck. It's this Vikings game that will tell us everything we need to know. It's a playoff game and we smash. We are legit. Yeah, I mean the Vikings and Niners are two teams that are right there competing for the same wild card spot. So it's a very interesting game.
I don't think they need to smash to be legit. I think they just need to They just need to win. Minnesota's played everybody tough, and
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, legitimately, if the Vikings had a couple of kicks go their way, or a couple of things that are totally outside of Kirk Cousins' control,
Yeah.
and they were say 8-3 or 7-3 instead of 5-5, Kirk Cousins would probably be considered the MVP of football right now.
Yeah. And that team, they've lost 5 games, but to like playoff teams, you know, they've also beat some good teams too. Hey, it's guys, it could be a close game. I'm interested. Kyle not bringing Trey earlier is more evidence that he has too many responsibilities and can't think of everything. Maybe it didn't occur to him until the sack. Maybe that would be disconcerting. But as plausible as any,
that's actually
as,
really
as
possible.
possible as anything. I like it. Good call. It's very simple too. Like he didn't think of it, and he just thought of it too. Possible. No interceptions because he only hands the ball. And the Niners have had leads the last couple of games. Like you better not turn the ball over when you're up big.
But that's not true. We saw him in 2019 with leads and while running the football that much, throw a lot of interceptions.
And that's why he was so maddening at times. I really do think that he's been above reproach the last 4 weeks. Even when they lost, he was pretty good in that game. He didn't put the ball on the ground. George. Brandon.
He's basic. So if you're gonna, I think the last 4 weeks, the problems that you have with him are issues with him. Maybe he doesn't process as fast as you want, or he's not doesn't have as strong as arm as you want, or he's
That's my
not as
thing.
accurate as you
The
want. Like
difference between
those
him
are,
and Kirk will sling it deep. Jimmy just won't. He's
but
literally like
Kirk,
almost like scared to throw deep. He's thrown 2 all year and he's hit them.
yeah,
2?
but Kirk just sees the field way
Yeah,
faster than
Kirk's
Jimmy,
better.
and
I'll take Kirk.
Kirk's smart,
Although
but
there's
I
something
think not
about
that
Kirk
Jimmy
where you
isn't.
feel like he shrivels in big moments, and it's the same way I feel about Derek Carr. Sometimes it's like, dude, you were way better than that. What happened? And Jimmy has this like something about him where he is a little less. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but they're similar. They're similar quarterbacks.
No, no, but yeah, I agree with that. But
Yeah.
more or less, I think that what you're saying is right. Like the things above reproach, I think the reason he's above reproach is because he hasn't done anything that makes you annoyed at. Oh, he's played to his
No
capability. He's
linebacker
played to his
picks.
capability.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Jody says, always love you both together. Thanks, Jody. I think if we can get past Vikings this week, we can make the playoffs. How do we stop Dalvin? That's who worries me. To
yeah.
me, what's hard is that Justin Jefferson is the one that I'm most concerned about. So how do you stop both of them? How do you
I'm
stop
worried about
both of
them
them?
all.
Let's talk real quick because we're not going to talk too much about this game. It's still early in the week. I was talking to a coach today about the best coverage to play against a team like this. And I don't think you want Jimmy Ward covering their tight end. He's not really I want Jimmy Ward helping out on Jefferson. So I was thinking this would be a good week to do like quarter halves. You know what I'm saying? And
Cover
kind of tilt your
six.
coverage one way and have 3 deep and 8 in the box. But I don't know if the Niners do stuff like that. We'll see.
They do
Because if
play
they
a
go
lot of
straight up
quarter
man
quarter
coverage,
half.
oh boy, it could get bad.
They do play a lot of quarter half. They played a lot of quarter half with Robert Saleh in 2020.
Quarter
But
halves.
But yeah, I mean,
That's what I'm
it's
saying.
difficult because they're a difficult team to match up with, and Kirk Cousins is really good. You can have
Yeah.
the right coverage,
And
and he
Justin
can just
Jefferson's
beat you
even
with
better.
timing and processing.
Yeah.
Justin
The ma-
Jefferson is ridiculous.
He's so good. Niners need to be on high alert for Dalvin Cook. Screenplays this Sunday, and their front seven is very solid. Yeah, I think the Vikings might be able to look at what Arizona did, those screens to Bosa's side. I'm surprised teams haven't done that, but it was 3 weeks ago. I'm sure they'll see that. So curious. Are they? They're a big screen team, aren't they? They are.
Yeah,
Yeah, big time.
yeah. I mean, they run
Because he'll
basically
be
the
under center,
Kubiak
straight drop,
offense.
screen, left,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. If you had to extend either Debo or Bosa, who would you extend? You could probably
Bosa.
extend both if you got rid of Jimmy at some point. You could probably extend both. But if you keep Jimmy, they'd probably choose Bosa.
If it's one or the other, you got to take the positional value. It's Bosa.
Problem with getting rid of Debo is he makes your quarterback so much better. Really, like, oh, you want to have a soft landing for Trey? Here, forget Debo though. Jimmy G is JG Wentworth because he need that cash now. That's hella funny. I like that. 877 cash now. Grant, do you think Kyle will be a bit happier in his pressers this week since he gets to play his precious Kirk Cousins? From Joe Mama.
No,
Uh,
because I don't think he'll like the line of questioning about Kirk Cousins.
oh, I can't wait for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Since you used the F word on the show, we're 2-0. LOL. And how about those Bruins over Trojans? Do you think Jimmy is taking baby steps throwing deep? When does he throw
No.
deep? When?
I mean, there's examples. I mean, I watched the film on this game already, and there's examples where a guy like say Kirk Cousins, one hitch rips things available down the field, and Jimmy G just doesn't do that. But I think I'm at a point where I talk about it with Trey Lance, right, and I talk about how he's an accurate quarterback, but his accuracy is inconsistent. So like 1 out of every 5 or 6 throws, you don't know where it's going, and I say
Yeah.
I'm totally okay with that. Just like that, I feel like with Jimmy,
Yeah.
like once you know once you're very aware of who he is, which
Right.
he is who he is, as he says, it is what it is. It is what it is with him. I'm totally okay with him not throwing deep as long as he's not, throwing the ball straight to a linebacker right in front of his face, or passing up a wide open receiver in front of his face to I don't know what he does, to throw the football backwards. I don't
I just
know.
don't understand why Jimmy was allowed to throw 11 picks in training camp without any second guessing of his play, but Brandon Ayuk didn't run a couple routes hard enough and he was benched or like doghoused. It's like, what about Jimmy? I mean,
The
Jimmy was
GPS
allowed to
on
play
Jimmy's
through it and he's better
drops,
for it now, right? He's better for
but
it
the
now.
GPS on Jimmy's drops was fast.
Niners went out and Jimmy continues at about the same level, B+. What does he go for in the offseason? That's one of our topics. We'll get there in a second.
Yeah.
We shall get there in a second. Don't be surprised. Don't be so sure he's going anywhere. Let's talk playoffs. Niners are 5-5. Do you think they will make the playoffs? And if so, what do they got to? Which games do they have to win?
So, do I think they're capable of making the playoffs, and do I think they will make the playoffs? I think are
Well, they're
two
definitely capable.
kind of different conversations. Right. I think they're more than capable of making the playoffs. Do I think they'll make the playoffs? I think it's too early to tell for me. And here's why. I cannot forget that this is a team that lost 5 out of 6 just because they had 2 good games. And for
Thank
me,
you.
that's where, even though these 2 good games have been really good, they've been steps in the
Yeah.
right direction. It's been everything we've been looking for this entire season. It's finally happened. They got themselves back to 500. This is their chance. But I think that you still have to see this level of consistency from
Right.
them going on. And, can they make the playoffs even while being inconsistent? Yeah, with the 7th seed, bad teams are going to make the playoffs. Last year, the Chicago Bears, who were not a good football team, made the playoffs. So bad teams can make the playoffs because you have 7 spots. Heck, I'd say Carolina's not a good football team. They got a chance of making it. With Trevor Siemian, New Orleans is not a good football team. They got a great shot at making it. The Niners are an okay football team.
Right.
They got a shot at making it. And the Vikings, I would say, are also an okay football team. Kind of the same thing as the Niners, where they're talented enough to compete with the NFC's best. They just continue to do things to lose games. So they're 5-5. And so I would say those 2 teams are kind of in the same boat. But in order to make the playoffs, to me, first off, they have to beat Minnesota and they have to beat Seattle. I think both those games you have to win just because both of those 2 teams are kind of in the same picture. Though Seattle looks done. I never want to count them out because it's Seattle.
They're 7
and
losses right
they're
now, and they look bad in their last game.
Yeah.
So hard. Yeah, man. By the time
But
the
then,
Niners get there, they might be 3-8. I mean, they might be checked out.
But I don't want to put that bad juju on myself because, I say they're out and then the Niners go and beat the Vikings, and I'm up here.
Yeah.
I'm like, Grant, they're back, blah, blah, blah. Grant, they're the best team in the NFL. And then they go to Seattle, lay an egg, and Seattle once again just ruins my hopes and dreams for the 49ers. So I don't want to put that bad juju out there until 2 weeks from now. So
well, hold on. How many
Seattle's
games do you think the
still in it.
Niners need to win to make the playoffs? Let's put it that way. How many? What's their
9.
record got to be? 9?
They just got to go. They just got to
You
go.
think 9 will do it?
4 out of the last 7. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But there's a possibility they will, like, if they have 9, like, they won't get the tiebreaker. Like, it'll be up to. It's not a lock. If they get 10, it's a lock, right?
Right. But
They
I
get 10,
think
it's a
with
lock.
the 9, because of their schedule, they got Atlanta, Seattle, and Minnesota on the schedule. As long as they win those 3 in Houston, they can lose to Cincinnati. They can lose to the Rams. They can lose to Tennessee
Tennessee, the
and be
AFC
okay
teams.
because Atlanta, Seattle, and Minnesota.
So if they win the NFC
teams,
games, that's more important because of tiebreakers.
right.
See, that's why you're on the
Exactly.
show, Vish. Right there. That was great. Thank you very much. Okay, so it's not as simple as 10 and they're in and 9 and they're not. Good to know. Good to know. But to me, 10 wins is tough to find. Only 2.
Yeah.
That's tough. A team that lost 5 of 6 is going to go out and win 5 of their next 7. Ooh, that's because to me, like, the Tennessee game is so tough. I don't care who they're playing. To have to go that far on a Thursday night game is rough. And then
No, I think the Tennessee game is just. I've said it
hard.
from day one. It's a schedule loss.
Tennessee's
It
really
happened in the
good too.
2011 Niners. They lost to
Yeah.
Baltimore.
I remember
because
that.
there was no chance going cross country on a short
hard.
week for them.
Cincinnati's another game that's going to be tough.
It'll be a tough football game.
Yeah.
And I see. My thing is, and this is a little tangent, but this kind of pisses me off with the NFL. I hate the 7 playoff seed. I think to make the playoffs in the NFL, it's really difficult. And I think the 7 playoff seeds 7th playoff teams, 7 playoff teams kind of ruins it because now I feel like, the Bears getting in last year was really what put me over the edge because the Bears were not good.
8-8.
And they were just given a playoff spot. So it really bothers me. I really don't like the 7 playoff teams, but now that it's there and the Niners got a chance, I think 9 wins definitely does it. And it's really, they could I think even 8 and 9 could do it just because I don't see, New Orleans with Trevor.
Well, hold on. I think the Rams are one. The Rams are one. And then I think the Vikings are probably another, which is why this game is so intriguing. The Niners could be the third wild card team for sure because their competition is what? Philly, who they've beaten, Carolina, who stinks, New
Though
Orleans, who
Cam's been
hasn't
playing
won a
good.
game since Jameis has gone down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm
Yep.
kind of like
Although Philly's
they got a
Philly's
shot.
Philly's hot. Philly's hot.
Philly is hot.
Philly's
Philly is
hot.
kind of Philly might
It
sneak
might
in
come down to the
actually.
Niners and Philly because I feel
Yeah.
like the Vikings and the Rams are gonna make it, but I could be wrong about Minnesota.
I think the Rams are one for sure.
Yeah.
Of the wild card teams. Heck, I still think the Rams got a shot at winning the division because
Yeah.
I think the Cardinals, the first game with Kyler Murray and D Hop, are
Yeah.
going to have a
True.
letdown and lose that game
Good point.
when they come back.
Good point. So hold on. So okay, let's say so they're probably going to beat Atlanta. They're probably going to beat Houston. That's 2 wins. And then you figure they should beat Seattle, even though it's in Seattle.
Mhm.
But Seattle could be dead by then. So that's 3 wins right there. That's 8. That's 8. So
Then
you
you just
just
got to
gotta
find a way
get
to.
1 or 2 more.
I mean, if you beat the Rams, the only difficulty is you got to hope Minnesota is 6 and you can get 7.
But
So
that's what's great. At
maybe you
least you
get in
feel you
like
have
that.
the confidence against the Rams. 5 in a row over them. You play them one more time. That's a good thing. So that could be your 4th win right now. So even if the Niners lose to Minnesota, theoretically, because they could lose to, honestly, are they even favored over Minnesota? I don't know.
I haven't
Anyway,
seen the
they
line
could
yet.
lose to Minnesota, beat Seattle, beat Houston, beat Atlanta, beat the Rams, and get to 9-8. I don't know if that'll do it, but that could
I
be what
think
they
it
end up
will.
doing. Yeah.
I think it will.
Okay. Okay.
Look, Grant, look at the NFC. Look at these teams. The NFC is strong up top. Green Bay is really good.
And the
Tampa
Vikings
Bay
just
is
beat them.
good. Yeah,
And the Vikings are tough. I don't know. This is a big win.
Vikings
This would
are
be a
tough.
big win for the Niners.
Vikings took Arizona down to the
Like I've
wire,
been
and Greg
poo-pooing the
Joseph.
like when the Niners beat the Rams, I was like, yeah, I predicted that. I predicted that. And when the Niners beat the Jags, I was like, it's Jacksonville. But the Niners beat Minnesota, I'll be like, wait, okay, that was that. I mean, Minnesota beat Green Bay. That's a legit win. That's a legit win. And if the Niners lose to
No,
Minnesota, it's
100%.
as we just pointed out, it technically isn't over. It's depends on how. No, it's not over if they lose to Minnesota, but it gets tough. It gets real tough.
The thing,
It gets real
Grant. The thing,
tough.
Grant, with the NFC is that it's never going to be over for the 49ers. They
No,
could
that's the
lose to
thing. They're going
Minnesota
to
and
be in it.
Seattle and 5-7, and they'll still be in it.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. All right. Eli says Niners getting past the home losing streak in playoff atmosphere by the faithful as well as showing we don't need Cousins will give us the victory. Good. Good. I hope so. $20 super sticker. Thank you, Tony. That was nice.
2.
Oh, or 2. Yes, I said. Well, that was cool too, though. I appreciate it. 20. All right. All right. Let's keep going. If the Niners make the playoffs, they have a 49% chance to make it, according to New York Times right now. The Vikings have like a 56% chance. The Niners are at 49. So they're right on the outside looking in. They could definitely make it. And if they do, will Jimmy Garoppolo return next year? Assuming
No.
he's the one that takes him there.
I mean, obviously, I'm predicting, right? I'm not saying I know, but I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no with as much conviction as I have right now. I don't think he returns. I know
Do you not
it's a
want him
little
to return, or
nerve-wracking.
do you think he won't?
I think he won't.
Okay.
I know it's a little
'Cause I think he will.
nerve-wracking given that Collinsworth mentioned it as a possibility in the Colts broadcast,
Yep.
and that was when Garoppolo was basically up and down
Yep.
the entire season, right? The Lions game was good, the Eagles game was bad. The Packers game was okay. Seattle was very, very mediocre, and he got hurt. And then Trey Lance played versus Arizona, and then you come back to the Colts, and they suggested that, which was a little bit shocking because
Right.
we all thought Trey Lance's play was encouraging against
Right.
Arizona. So
It
why
was.
would Collinsworth
Yeah.
say that, right? And so then he mentioned that, and then we heard a little bit of it in yesterday's broadcast too. But I just think they can't. I look at every move this organization has made, and so many decisions have been, and so many opportunities have been trying to upgrade at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And they believe they upgraded at quarterback, trading up this much to quarterback. And to me, if they believe that's an upgrade by if he sits year 1, you got to play him year 2. First of all, I don't understand it for Trey Lance. How can the dude go 3 years without playing football and then you expect him to be a star? 2, I think it's horrible use of their salary cap and their entire situation. The fact that they gave that much up for Trey Lance and then they're paying that much for Garoppolo, and they think that's the way to handle their quarterback situation. I think it would be a terrible use of that, especially when you have this golden ticket of Trey Lance on a rookie contract in terms of cost control wages for 4 years, allowing you to build the most stacked team possible around him. I think from finances, it makes no sense. There's just nothing about keeping Garoppolo that makes sense to me, other than the fact that the people on the broadcast are saying it, which means that they heard it from somebody.
Agree. And that's why I'm saying if the Niners make the playoffs, I do think Jimmy Garoppolo will return. Not because it makes sense, but because we're starting to hear the whispers. I mean, I didn't really think it made sense to keep. I mean, everyone pretty much agrees it didn't make sense. You and I agree to trade for Trey Lance and keep Jimmy Garoppolo. It's like, what? But if they did it once, they could do it again because they don't think there's anything wrong with it. They think it's a good thing for Trey to sit and develop. I mean, Aaron Rodgers on the bench for how long? 3 years? So
I don't want to hear about
this could
Aaron
go on
Rodgers
for a
when
very long
this is
time.
not Brett Favre.
This could go on for a
Brett
very
Favre.
long time. Here's the thing. I just don't I'm open to the idea that Kyle Shanahan loves Trey Lance and is really eager to coach him and has these plans for him, but I just haven't seen it. I haven't seen the enthusiasm in the way he talks and the way he coaches him in any. I'm waiting. I'm open-minded and I'm not writing it off. I'm just waiting to see it, and I haven't seen it yet. So the fact that he's pretty much shut down Trey Lance and all in with Jimmy, it seems to me if you go to the playoffs, and it's even harder to make the transition next year. You could have made it this year. You were coming off a 6-10 year. Jimmy was hurt. You got Trey Lance, but coming off a playoff appearance, and now Lance is 2 years removed from any action, and he still is the kind of guy who, first of all, who's to say Trey Lance would even play well next year? Let's go there. Let's go right there. Trey Lance hasn't played in 2 years in this scenario, and if he does play next year, the expectation that he's going to be Patrick Mahomes, right?
Well, yeah, right.
Oh, well,
That's
Mahomes
what
out
most
for a
people
year.
would be thinking, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're getting rid of Jimmy Garoppolo, who took us to the playoffs. So now Trey's going to lead us to the Super Bowl.
Well, my take has always been that there's going to be growing pains with him next year too. I don't think he's Patrick Mahomes, where he's going to hit the ground running and have one of the greatest quarterback seasons we've ever seen. But then that's also why you and I have been like, just put him in, just put him in, just
now.
Put him in. But here's the thing, though, Grant. Here's the thing with Garoppolo. I know that you think Shanahan has been a little bit unenthusiastic about Trey Lance. But I actually think Shanahan has been medium about Trey Lance, because if you want to hear unenthusiastic, you should hear Matt LaFleur talk about Jordan Love.
Tell me.
That is real.
Tell me. I'm not in the Midwest. Let me know.
Basically, I don't think he's ever complimented Jordan Love. I don't think I've ever heard him say a single positive thing about Jordan Love.
Okay. Interesting.
I don't think. And Shanahan does say positive things about Trey Lance pretty consistently.
Okay, fair enough.
He just always adds it. By no means it was perfect. He always puts the little disclaimer in front of it. But Matt LaFleur on Jordan Love is way more. And I understand the the Rodgers Love situations. But come on, Grant. Jimmy Garoppolo is nowhere near the quarterback of Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers.
Hold on. Let me just put it real clearly, real simply. If Jimmy makes the playoffs, I think it's really hard for Kyle Shanahan to move off of him at that point, because the expectations for Trey Lance would be sky high, right? Okay, well, you have to be better than a playoff quarterback, not a guy who was hurt last year, a guy who was healthy and made the playoffs. Be better than that, and who's to say he will be? So you don't even know how ready Trey Lance is going to be until he comes back for training camp or whatever. And so you're going to trade Jimmy Garoppolo before then? I think they're keeping Jimmy.
I don't want to hear that.
I think they're keeping Jimmy if he makes the playoffs.
Look, you have to have the courage of your convictions. You had the conviction to trade up that much to go draft.
When have they had that?
Then no matter what, you have to move off of Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't want to hear this type of talk from you, Grant. I don't want to hear it. I'm not buying
Gentlemen's bet. If Jimmy Garoppolo makes the playoffs, he will enter training camp as the starter, and he will be the week 1 starter next year.
Okay.
And the Niners will slow play Trey Lance harder than you have seen any team do it. And the fact that it'll be historically unprecedented will only make Kyle Shanahan smile.
Okay, if you pick whatever you want. If I win this bet, the Only Shan's shirt that you avoided during the draft, you have to wear the Only Shan's shirt. But I don't want you to wear it for the show. I
Okay.
want you to wear an Only Shan shirt to a presser and ask Kyle Shanahan a question wearing Only
No,
Shan.
that's unprofessional, but we'll find something to
Oh,
do
okay,
that's
okay,
that's
okay.
I can't go that far, but we'll do something good.
Okay, okay.
Because
Okay.
honestly, if he makes a transition to Trey Lance next year, I will have grossly underestimated him. So I will happily do something to express my admiration and my regret for underestimating him because I'm
Okay,
basically
okay.
saying you don't have it in you to make the bold
And
move. You're going to stick
if
with
he
Jimmy
does
until Jimmy the wheels fall off on that one.
if he does stick with Jimmy, what would you like for me to do then?
Oh man, it's just a gentleman's bet, dude. Yeah. Well, by then this will be next year, right? You'll be out of
Yeah.
college. You'll be making money. Okay, now I'm gonna need a bottle of wine, a nice one.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Okay.
All right, all right, let's answer some questions.
There's the shake.
Drunk Leprechaun
Leprechaun.
says, kind of an irrelevant question at this point, but what do you think about moving McGlinchey to right guard and keep Moore at right tackle? Well, Moore didn't look so good at right tackle to me. What do you think? Didn't he get benched for
Yeah, I
Compton?
mean, it's his first game. I
Yeah,
them and
true.
him and Compton switched out. I mean, McGlinchey at right guard is a terrible idea. He was terrible. The only time we saw him play right guard week 1 versus
He's a
Minnesota,
better
he
fit at
was
tight
so
end than right
bad.
guard. He's
Yeah.
slender. Have him as like a move tight end. He'd be Charlie Warner. They should throw to McGlinchey in the red zone because he's 6'8". You know, I'm just
Trent
saying.
got up.
He
Trent got
did get
up.
up. He didn't get that separation. They probably should bench him for a couple of weeks. Jimmy will get
They got to
traded.
check his GPS.
Jimmy will get traded, but it will be after the Rodgers and Wilson bidding war. So maybe get a conditional 3 like Wentz. They can't keep him. Okay, so this is part of the same topic. Let's say I'm wrong. The Niners make the playoffs. Because let's say I'm wrong. I'm usually on the conspiracy theory anyway. The Niners make the playoffs. Jimmy regains his trade value and they trade him boldly. What do they get? And where does he go?
Third round pick, second round
Third,
pick.
second.
The issue is always going to be his contract, right? I don't think that it's his trade value. Well, his injuries is part of why you wouldn't trade for him. But let's say you feel like he's going to be healthy. I think most people agree while Jimmy Garoppolo is a solid quarterback, he's not a franchise changer. Sadly, he's paid like a franchise changer. So you're not going to get the value that you think, like, let's say you think every starting quarterback is worth a first. You're not going to get that when if Garoppolo was making 18 million, you're getting a first for him.
That's
He
right.
makes 26 million. You're not going to get a first for a starting. You have to pay a price for the contract that the other team is going to have to
I'll
take upon
gladly
him.
take a third round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. Gladly.
I would
Gladly.
too. I would too.
Take
And
that.
by the way, there's a
Because
couple other
you weren't getting a
names.
third from last year.
There's a couple other names that I think will pass Jimmy up in the market. First, Derek Carr. He has one more year on his deal after this year. Vegas is a mess. Are they going to re-up him? Will Derek Carr want to re-up? That's a name that you could probably put in the same type of situation as what Matthew Stafford was last year, a little worse quarterback. I think Carr is one. Then the other one would be I feel like guys like Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield. If they're not going to get extended, what are their teams going to do with them? They're still young and pretty talented, especially Jones, I would say, because you don't have to pay him yet. He could get traded the same way Darnold got traded. So I feel like if you put those names out there like that, I think it becomes a little bit harder to trade a guy, who's 30. We kind of know what he is. He's not as good as the Carrs, the Wilsons, or the Rodgers, but he's not as young or has the potential of Baker or Jones. Or yeah.
Yeah. Michael says betting line is -3. Niners almost a pick him over his 49. What does Jaybird do? Is he Kyle? I don't know who Jaybird is. Is he Kyle's assistant? But betting line -3, that's pretty much what I would expect. These are pretty much even teams, and the Niners are at home. So that's fair. They're in the same tier, are they not? They're both
Yeah,
5
I
and
think
5.
so. I think
Yeah,
so.
they
I think
both.
they're
Yeah,
actually the exact same tier of two teams that are more talented and should be better than what their record says. In
yeah,
Minnesota's case, it's because they blow really close games in the stupidest ways. In the
yeah.
Niners games, in the
They beat
Niners case, it's
themselves.
a little bit different, but they
Yeah,
beat themselves. Yeah.
yeah. Just joined. Why are we vindicating Kyle? He has this weird, almost bullying attitude towards Brandon, Sermon, Lance, and Lenore. Kyle is just weird. It's because I saw an article today saying that all of Kyle Shanahan's questionable decisions have been vindicated by this recent winning streak, which made me think, so we're sort of just kind of playing out where these decisions are going. And yeah, it's great that they're 5 and 5 and won 2 in a row and 3 or 4. Maybe this is a start of things to go, but I feel like a lot of Niner fans are going to bat for Kyle this week, and I'm Just curious. Want to talk about it. Grant grew up with the Niners. He's a Niner fan, just loves them so much. He doesn't like seeing them lose. I do. The organization means a lot to me. It's the freaking Niners. I mean, I don't root for them. And when they lose, you see that I can, enjoy myself at times, but it does mean a lot to me that this organization is, that's why I gave myself quality control and I do it for free. I just do it for free. It means that much.
Is that going to change at some point?
I don't think so. They can't afford me at this point. I didn't think Kyle could build Jim's trade value up this season, but if he does, bravo, there's zero chance Jim's on the roster next season. Don't be so sure of that, Raymond. I'd like to think that you're right, though. And if I've already put a bet down on it. So, Kyle, please, I want to be wrong. I want to give Vish a present. Mike says, don't overlook Atlanta or Houston. Houston beat Tennessee. And in 2019, Atlanta did knock off the 13-win Niner team. That's a good point. And the Niners lost to Colt McCoy. This team can't overlook anyone. That's a great point. Thank you very much, Mike.
Houston is good when Tyrod Taylor plays quarterback. They compete with everybody when Tyrod Taylor plays. Yeah.
That's a great point. George says, can I get in on this bet? Great show. Vish is a boss. UCLA gave USC the business. 19, what you got on my 40, homie. Here's the thing. So Mr. Roscoe's thought I was a little too negative. I think he was just mad that UCLA beat his team by like 30-something. So I don't know. That's a theory of mine. Mr. Roscoe's, tell me what you think. I hate the fact that if the Niners make the playoff, it is credited to the quarterback when we know it isn't all him. I mean, I can give Jimmy his credit. What I think is kind of scary about the Niners making the playoffs is I think there's a high likelihood that they bring it all back again. And there's a revenge tour 3.0. I do. Because the Niners aren't a free agent destination. They don't have a lot of draft picks. And you know what? If they could bring back Jaquiski Tart one more time, why not? If they could bring back K'Wan Williams one more time. It seems like
DJ Jones.
What they like to do. DJ Jones, let's give it one more shot. We finished the season on such a bright. We are heading in the right direction. Jamaican Boy says no. If we make the playoffs, his trade value goes up to a fourth or a third at best. Grant, come on, Whiffy better than us. We would look like the Dolphins. Whiffy, who? Glitchy? I don't know who we're talking about.
I think
what up,
Jimmy?
Grant? What up, Vish? What are the Niners' keys to victory of the Vikes? Do they have a realistic chance? Yeah, they have a realistic chance.
Hell yeah, they have a chance.
Sack Kirk Cousins. How'd they beat him before? Run the ball a million times, sack Kirk Cousins, shut down Dalvin Cook. But that team didn't have Justin Jefferson.
And that team did have Stephon Diggs.
That team did have Diggs, and he had a touchdown.
But it was different, right? They kicked their ass on both lines of scrimmages, which I don't expect them to do.
Minnesota was coming off a really tiring road playoff game, and the Niners had a bye week. Yeah.
And they kicked their ass. They just kicked their ass. They just beat them up physically. I don't think this team beats anybody. Like the 19 team we had a, frame of reference of them beating up like 10 different teams where they just beat them up on both lines of scrimmages. That's not been happening with this team. In terms of beating the Vikings, I would say the one thing is you gotta get Kirk Cousins uncomfortable. You got to get pressure on him, but it's not just getting pressure on him because he can beat pressure. You got to get pressure on him and not have him, take away what he's looking at because he processes really, really well. He knows where to go with the football. But the thing with Kirk Cousins, it's always been his issue is that if the play call doesn't have the answer to what the defense is doing, he doesn't offer anything off schedule. And if you force him to play off schedule, that's when you can force him to make mistakes. But it's
he takes some bad sacks.
Yeah,
he does.
It's harder to do than it's easy to say that that's what you need to do. It's really hard to execute when you have Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, and Adam Thielen. But I think this defense, if the 49ers are able to run the football on offense, they're capable of doing that.
R. Smith says, I'm not even a Niners fan. I'm just here for the tea. Well, thank you. Can the Niners make a 2011 Giants run? I just looked them up. No. They were 6-6 at one after a loss to the Packers and then won 7 of their next 8, won the Super Bowl. Sure, they could do it.
Yeah, but Eli, that was the one year you could make the argument Eli played elite. The one year.
Maybe Jimmy
set the record, I think.
Dude,
I think he set the record for fourth quarter comebacks in a season. Really, and I still think the game in the NFC Championship is one of the most underrated performances of all time by a quarterback. They hit him every play, and he kept getting up and hit third down after third down.
But still, it required Kyle Williams having 2 egregious errors for that to happen.
Right.
But I guess it required, the tuck rule for Tom Brady. These things. Darwin says, why would Kyle waste 3 picks to get a guy who will sit 2 years? Does not make sense.
That's
because
what
it's
I'm
not
saying.
his problem. Not his problem. He has a 6-year contract. So he can take as long as he wants. He can take 6 years with Trey Lance if he wants. And if the Niners get fed up and fire him, then he gets hired by the next team and he has no offsets in this deal. So he gets paid twice. From Kyle's perspective, he's in a no-lose situation. He can go as slowly as he wants. He can go slowly as he wants. Honestly, if
Grant, you're
he
hurting
thinks
my
Trey
feelings
Lance
every
needs
time you
5
say
years of
this.
development, then that's what it's going to be. That's honestly, he's in a no-lose situation. He can do whatever he wants with a 6-year contract, or the Niners can fire him, and in his mind, he'll get hired immediately and get paid by 2 teams at once. He's in a no-lose situation. That's why he's the most cocksure, arrogant coach in the NFL. I mean, he doesn't have the record to back it up, but he's got the job security and the money and the contract. So God love him, dude. Do your thing, King.
He needs to get some sunscreen, though.
I need to get some sun. I'm pale. I look awful.
The sun destroyed him in the Jacksonville game. He looked all sunburned.
Yeah, he was. I'm telling you, out here in Northern California, we haven't had sun in a long time, so he wasn't ready for that Jacksonville. Do you reckon Kyle heard about your fire him vid?
Oh, 100%. I guarantee you he saw.
I fire him every day.
I guarantee you he heard about it. I guarantee you someone in his family saw that for sure.
Kyle knows
Did
his
that
probably
get
his
how
son,
many
right?
views did that get?
When is his son going to start calling in and be like, stop it? He's about
That
Amin's
would
age,
suck.
right? He's about
That
Amin's
would
age, a
suck.
little bit young. He would. Then I'd probably have to stop.
Imagine being a 13-year-old and you see this 33-year-old named Grant Cohn going on YouTube every
hate
day
this
to
guy.
about
Yeah.
40,000 people, and he's getting views that says 40,000 views on a video that's just fire banana hands.
Did that go for 40,000? Oh my goodness. Kyle knows
Did
Kirk
it?
inside and out. We can win. I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, he has done well against Kirk in the past. That's true. Grant, come on. Whiff equals whiff.
Nah, Kirk
Oh,
tore him up week 1 of 2018. What are you saying,
it's
Grant?
true. That is true. That he was good in that game. Whiff a hand. Oh, dang. Hey, I think Kyle's worth quite a bit. We're going to talk about that in a minute. George, have this 50 burger. Grant Vish, what days, times is your show? I'm trying to tune in, but I keep missing it. Thank you for the 50 burger.
Dude, we haven't gone live in a minute. It's just once we
They're
went
college
back
students.
to school, it's just so hard to just get on and stream and talk about sports. Like we'll watch it and then we'll do other stuff. It's just we haven't been going live for a while.
Yeah, just wait for him to graduate and feel how awful corporate life is, and then he'll come back. Don't worry. He's 22, 21.
I'll be 22 in my birthday is December 13th, so 3 weeks.
I'm gonna spend this 50 burger on Vish's Blue Yeti. All right, thank you very much. Let's get to the last topic. Okay, so we talked about how they make the playoffs, what the implications are if they make the playoffs. Let's do the negative side of it, just because they have a 51% chance of not making the playoffs. So if the 49ers miss the playoffs, go 8-9, don't make it, go 9-8, and somehow don't make it on a technicality, what should Jed York do? Now, real quick, this is a hypothetical in which Jimmy Garoppolo is the starting quarterback the whole way, because they're never out of it and they fall just short. So it's a full season of Jimmy Garoppolo and the vets, and they come just short. What should Jed York do?
Yeah, and I think I'm going to disappoint a lot of people when I say this. I don't think Jed York should fire Kyle Shanahan. And that's
no, I agree with you on that. Under no circumstances do you fire Kyle Shanahan. That's a mistake, because he is right. He would get a job but before the ink is dry on the firing, he would get a job somewhere else, and he'd be now getting paid by 2 places. It would almost be a dream come true for him. He has no offsets in his Niners. You can't fire him. He's not fireable. Can't do it.
I also don't think they should trade Kyle Shanahan.
Okay, well, that's where we disagree. But you go first. You go first.
I think if they don't make the playoffs, I think the first thing you have to do if you're Jed York is you have to get a clear vision. Maybe he already has it. They have given him a clear idea of what's the plan with Trey Lance. Then if they've already told you clearly what the plan is with Trey Lance, you need to know by yourself. You don't need Kyle Shanahan or John Lynch telling you. You need to independently know by yourself if that plan is being followed and if it's on schedule with Trey.
But he's going to say, hold on real quick. He's going to say the plan is he's going to start next year if he's ready.
Yeah, but you should know if you're Jed York whether he's shown enough to be ready.
Kyle, is he
But
ready? I don't know. I can't make that determination until I see him in training camp and preseason. I don't know. But if he's ready, then he'll be the starter. Well, and
I
then he
don't.
can just say he's not ready. Sorry, he's not ready yet. Jimmy's really playing well.
I
Jimmy looks great. Why
I
can't he do that?
don't.
That's what he did this year.
I think
That's what he did
so.
this year.
First, if so, that would be if I'm Jed York, I would put the ultimatum that you
Okay.
got to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. That's the first
Okay.
thing I would
Okay.
do if I'm
Okay.
Jed York.
Okay. Okay.
That's the first
All
thing I
right.
would do.
I hadn't thought of that. That's interesting. So Jed has some things he can do before just get rid of Kyle.
Th-
Fair?
the second thing, I think you have to reflect on basically the entire
Right.
organizational structure. You
Yeah.
have to take a look at it, not because you know not even because you want to fire somebody,
Mhm.
but you have 4 losing seasons out of 5. You have to find answers. You can make it. Maybe you think you have the right people, but the right people with this specific combination is not working if you're 4 losing seasons out of 5. Assuming they have a losing season to miss the playoffs, I think that's what we're expecting more or less because we think 9 and 8 gets you in. Um,
Maybe.
so because of that, if that happens, you have to ask. If you have to ask you have to ask like 3 questions, right? Philosophically, do we have the right idea of how to build a team in the modern NFL? Do we have everybody structured in the right place that best uses their skill set? And then three is are we doing enough at this point to make Trey Lance better? And if you're not, then I think that's where you have to maybe first. I think you have to give an ultimatum, no matter what. Get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah,
You
that's
can't keep
brilliant.
going through
That
this
is brilliant to
offseason.
me. I'm with you on that. And if Kyle balks at that, then I know what I would do. But if he's cool with that and he's committed to Trey Lance, then I can stick with him. Although, look, to me, if they miss the playoffs and Trey Lance doesn't play the rest of the year and they miss the playoffs, putting their best foot forward, their vets, dude, that's a wasted year. That's a wasted
Oh,
year. That's a
I,
big.
I think he's
I'd be really pissed if I were Jed if that's what happened. Really
if
mad.
so forget Jed. If Lance doesn't play and the Niners miss the playoffs, Kyle will get crucified by
Roasted.
fans because if Lance does play, at least you have a frame of reference of something to be excited for. Maybe he
That's
comes
what
in week
I'm
17 and
saying,
he
man.
kills it.
That's
And
what
then
I'm saying.
everybody's like, "Oh my God, we have the next we have a guy better than Patrick Mahomes for next year." And then Niners fans and Grant will be on the wave. So Niners fans and now
Yeah.
it'll be Lombardi, and they'll be
Hell yeah.
arguing back and forth because Niners fans will be saying he's better than Mahomes. Heck,
Yeah.
he reminds
Yeah.
me of Joe Montana from 1981, and Lombardi will be saying, "No, no, no,
Yes.
no. He's not as efficient enough if you look at the data right here."
Right.
Or maybe it's not Lombardi, maybe it's somebody else, but they're having this argument. But instead, if there's no frame of reference, then people will be
Right.
pissed because there's no
That's
way
what
of
I'm trying. That's the
saying,
picture I'm trying to paint for you right here. A picture where they miss the playoffs and Trey doesn't play, and fans are like, "Yo, what are we doing for next year? What is next year going to be worse? Are we going to start a guy who hasn't played in 2 years? Or are we going to stick with Jimmy even though we missed the playoffs?" That to me is why. Here, let me just say what I would do. And I know you don't have to agree with me, but this is what I would do. I've been thinking about it a lot. If they miss the playoffs and it's full Jimmy production, there's no Trey Lance, I would trade Kyle Shanahan because I feel like that's a fireable offense to put all your eggs in the present and miss the playoffs and not set yourself up for the future. What I would do is I would fire John Lynch first. Then I would bring in another general manager and I would let him trade Kyle. You can't trade Kyle, but you can't fire Kyle, but you can trade him because I think Kyle's worth 2 firsts and 2 seconds. That's what the Raiders got for Gruden: 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and $8 million. I think Kyle's worth the same, at least that. So if you want to get your assets back for the Trey Lance trade, boom. It's not. I mean, I'd rather trade Kyle than Nick Bosa. I'd rather trade Kyle than Debo Samuel, assuming they miss the playoffs. So I would trade Kyle. I would trade Kyle to Chicago. This is how much I've been thinking about it. I would trade him to Chicago. I think that's the best place to put him. And then I would hire Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator from Dallas. Now, I wouldn't hire him, but that would be one of the guys that I would definitely interview. Kellen Moore, that's a guy who's been a quarterback in the league. He's also been a highly successful coordinator, and he's young. I think he'd be, well, I'd like to hear what he says in his interview, but I think he'd be the kind of guy who would embrace building an offense around Trey Lance as opposed to Kyle. Anyway, that's what I would do if they missed the playoffs. Oh, and I would also trade Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy, you got to go too. But I don't know where he's going. Whoever wants to give me a third for him.
Grant,
You get the two
Are
first
you
back from
are
Kyle,
do
and
you
you get the
have
third back from Jimmy. Sorry, go ahead.
a doppelganger Howie Roseman by any chance?
Why? Because I'm Jewish?
I'm just wondering
That's
because
so funny.
he didn't trade Doug Peterson though. He fired Doug Peterson and he went and got Nick
True.
Sirianni, and then he
It's
traded
true.
Carson Wentz for a conditional whatever. So
It's true.
if
It's true.
that
I guess I'm
entire
thinking
picture
kind of
was
like
like
Howie
exact
Roseman, huh?
you do think well, I
It's
mean,
true.
I think you and Howie Roseman are on the same page because Howie Roseman trades more than anybody and you
It's true.
love trades more than
Yeah.
anybody. But the
Yeah.
one thing I will give credit for, because I didn't mean to say as to blast you in any type of way or anything, is that the Eagles are right there with the Niners as a team
And
that's
their future
right there
looks bright.
looking,
Their future looks good because to me,
and that
Jalen Hurts
Miami
is
pick does
Trey
look
Lance,
good.
and
So
he's coming into his own. Yeah. Anyway. Anyway. So if the Niners miss the playoffs, it's going to be interesting to see what Jed York does because to me, Kyle's kind of acting like a guy who needs every win he can get and is, I don't know, trying to get that playoff berth. If he misses the playoffs, I just don't see how you can bring everything back unless, of course, in that final game they finally pivot to Trey Lance and he has this great performance and they're like, okay, there is an optimistic future that we can all look forward to. Otherwise, I don't know. No
no,
first round
Grant, it
pick,
would be
no playoff
you're
appearance.
right. It would be
Yeah,
unprecedented. Even though I'm saying they should get the extra year no matter what, it would be unprecedented for a regime that's had
right,
little turnover, that's maintained the same
right.
system and
Yeah,
philosophy for
something.
5 years and have
Yeah,
only one successful season to keep their job and keep going in the same direction. But then again, it's also unprecedented for a team that had one winning season out of four to trade that much up for a quarterback and
it's
kind of
true.
restart their timeline. So it's
It's true.
all a little bit weird because usually when you build a winner, you're trying to find ways to build a sustained winner. The Niners said this winner is not going to sustain. Let's
Right.
restart it and try to build another winner again.
Yeah.
And it's
But
really hard to build that
if they
one
miss the
winner.
playoffs with Trey Lance playing the last 7 games of the season, you'd say, well, okay, they missed the playoffs, but they're going to be good next year. Look at what Lance did. Look at how he improved. But if they miss the playoffs with Jimmy going, it's like, damn, well, what is next year? This team is at a real strange crossroads. You'd kind of like to move on from Jimmy because it looks like this equation isn't working anymore, but the replacement is the most inexperienced college quarterback ever, and he hasn't played in 2 years. That's a weird spot to be in. And now you only have 32 returning players, very few returning starters, no first round picks, limited cap space. What do you do? What will this team look like next year? Very strange.
And the other frustrating thing is I feel like they might have expected a lot more young talent on this team to step up and show something that would give you confidence about moving off of veteran players. The
Right.
issue is as much as we say K'Wan Williams, right?
Thank
He's been
you.
an excellent nickel, but he's gotten hurt. Who the hell
Time
on
to
this
move
team is there
on.
to replace K'Wan Williams?
Time to move
Deommodore
on.
Lenoir
How?
as a nickel has not shown that he can do what K'Wan Williams
Nope.
does. So how do you
Nope.
move off of him? DJ
Exactly.
Jones, right? You would love to move off of DJ Jones, even though he's a very good nose tackle. But they
How?
don't have anybody that's shown the capability of being able to play with the
Tart.
power and strength.
They
Same thing
really
with
want to
Tart.
move on from Tart, and they're trying to make Hufanga a thing, but Tart started yesterday. It's not there yet,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know.
I mean, Juwan Jennings and Mo Sanu. Mo Sanu has started every game.
Yeah,
Ambry Thomas, Josh Norman. So, like, the fact that they don't have young players that you can look at, right, and say,
and
like,
not a
these
lot
young
of
players are
picks.
stepping up. They're just,
Yeah,
this isn't, to me, this is not 2008 when Mark Roman was starting at, or 2010 when Mark Roman was starting at safety and Deshaun Goldson used to flash like every preseason and whatever, but the Niners wouldn't play him. Or Takeo Spikes was playing, but everybody knew Navarro Bowman was good. And the moment he got his chance, he had like 18 tackles the final game of the season in 2010. And then they all took off in 2011.
hmm
This is a little bit more Takeo Spikes is starting and Nick Moody is his backup, where it's like the guy they drafted to be the guy after him has not shown anything, which is why the veteran continues to keep
right,
playing.
right, exactly. So, make the playoffs, Kyle. But then again, it's such a weird position they're in. If they make the playoffs, you're presented with this reality where Jimmy could come back. And if they miss the playoffs, you could have organizational upheaval. That being said, if Kyle isn't the one and the Niners could get a coach like Kellen Moore who's enthusiastic about Trey Lance and they could sort of keep their defensive coaching staff intact, I'd be kind of intrigued about that for the future. But anyway, they can still make the playoffs. Let's see what happens. And Trey Lance, Trey Lance could come in. Who knows? This season could take some twists and turns. You never know. We'll see
The
what
thing
happens.
about Kellen Moore is what gives you any conviction that Kellen Moore is
I don't.
any more qualified for that job than because if play calling is the one thing, you already have the best play caller. So replacing him with another play caller who's worse than
Well, I mean, he's having a lot of success with the Cowboys, and he also played quarterback in the NFL, which I like. I like that. I mean, there's been successful backup quarterbacks,
that's fair.
Gary
That's
Kubiak,
fair.
stuff like that.
What I will say, and
Yeah.
no, you are absolutely
because
correct.
he might
What
be
I
able to
will say
better
is
groom
I
a
think
quarterback
Kellen
because
Moore's
he's been a quarterback and he knows what can crush a quarterback, stuff like that. Sort of like Harbaugh. Yeah.
fair.
Yeah. But I don't
And
know. Let's
I
interview
think
him
Kellen
first.
Moore's
Let's see what
actually
he's
done an
like. He could be a
excellent job.
weirdo. I don't know.
I think he's done an
Yeah.
excellent job actually in Dallas. Like
He
I
has.
do want to mention
He
that.
has,
Like I think he's done a really good job, but
Yeah.
it's also easier to do a really great job when you have a very good quarterback, a top
True.
7-8 quarterback, 2 top 15 wide receivers. Michael Gallup is very, very good. It's a great situation for
But Mike McCarthy kept him
his
for a
offense.
reason, right? It seems like he's very respected, Kellen Moore. It's not like
Oh no, for
Yeah.
sure. And him and
Anyway.
Dak seem to have a great
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah. So I would. He's definitely someone to bring in the building along with Eric Bieniemy, Brian Dable. But I'm telling you, Kellen Moore. He's my age. He's 33. I like the young former quarterback. It's intriguing. Now
You
maybe
want I know what you're looking for. I think I figured it out. You want the quarterback coach relationship, like
yeah,
the Holmgren, Steve Young,
yeah.
John
The
Elway, Mike
Harbaugh Kaepernick.
Shanahan.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yup.
And the thing with Kyle
The
Shanahan is
Kubiak
unfortunately
Elway. Kubiak Elway.
we haven't seen well, it was Mike Shanahan. We haven't seen Kyle Shanahan have that sort of
Kubiak.
relationship with any quarterback in his career, right? McVay had it with Kirk Cousins in Washington for 4 years, where the two of them had it and they got better together.
Wasn't
And they
McVay a
both became.
quarterback in college?
No, he was a receiver.
Sorry. I guessed. Sorry.
Yeah, but no, but maybe this is his guy. Maybe Kyle Shanahan and Trey Lance are going to have the back and forth connection.
Show it. If Kyle could show that at any point in the next 7 weeks, next Niner fans would be so happy. Be so happy, and they would really trust the direction of the franchise. They just need a glimpse, Kyle, a glimpse. And he's like, no, absolutely not. No presents until tomorrow. Okay, Banana Hands will not lose to his beloved Kirk Cousins. He has already. But I feel you. Believe it or not, Niners will make it to the Super Bowl. They could. Believe it or not. You said it first. If Kyle will take too long with Lance, he will get multiple visits from the Yorks. I wonder what John York said to him. Suddenly, he got his act together. Yeah, but he didn't play Trey Lance. I wonder if York was like, hey, if you keep losing, you're going to have to play Trey Lance. He's like, all right, I'm going to win then. In that case, I'll win. Fine.
See, I don't believe the Yorks have a crazy amount of power because they can fire him, but then they're stuck back in the same kind of circular limbo that they've been in for the last 15 years, where it's just hire coach, fire coach, hire coach, fire coach, hire coach, fire coach.
Yeah, Kyle's not sweating it. Kyle in third place at 5-5, vindicated, bar set low. Yeah, that's what I think. I feel like let's let him get to 6-5 first. And again, the Niners were 7-5 in 2014 when it all went wrong.
I mean, dude, everybody that's vindicating Kyle and the Niners right now, to be fair to my man Ramilia, was killing the Rams in McVay and Stafford. See, Stafford's not a Super Bowl quarterback. See, McVay isn't a good coach, blah, 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 after the one Monday night game. So it's just funny how people choose to paint narratives based on their own biases.
I'd never do that. Kirk Cousins will throw an ugly pick this Sunday. Could be. Lance takes over at 23 years old. Chill, future secure. So 2023. That's what I'm saying. 2023. But what if Jimmy Garoppolo goes to the playoffs again next year?
I don't buy this age BS because the age BS is the same BS I heard about Sam Darnold for the last whatever amount of years. He's still only 23. He still has got a chance to become really good at some point.
Bad is bad.
Yeah.
What is it?
So I don't think just because he's 23, to me, it's all about contract years. To me, if a guy gets drafted at 22, it's the same 4 years as if the guy gets drafted at 20. I only care about the 4 years with the cost controlled wage. I don't care if in 2044 he's 36, but the other guy is 39. To me, who gives a rip about that?
What if Trey Lance is ready, but Kyle feels like he owes it to Jimmy and the guys on one-year deals to make a Super Bowl run? I guess we'll never know.
Yeah,
He's
but
over
if
there
he
running the
owed it
scout
to
team.
no, I don't buy this because if he owed it to those guys, he never trades that much up to get a quarterback. Come on,
Right. Let's get real. We got to dip out on Jimmy. Yeah, that's what you said, right? Ultimatum.
dude, get him out.
Get him out. Niners are
I like him too. Nice guy.
but gotta go.
Pretty solid player.
Pretty solid player, overpaid. Niners are front runners. We need to start with the ball every time to win. We can't start down. It's an automatic loss. That's interesting. Them having those long drives and getting out to early leads the last 2 weeks have really made things. Once they get that 2-score lead, they're tough to beat. They're really tough to beat. But if they do fall behind, yeah, I mean, all of a sudden the run game goes out the window, and it's not that Jimmy falls apart, but their offensive line isn't built to play like that, really. Wyatt. Is he the best play caller, Vish? How can you trust Whiffahan when he always abandons a run, which is what his system is built on? Identity crisis, Kyle. I'm with Jamaican boy on this one. I wouldn't just give that to Kyle. He's going to have to keep doing what he did the last 2 weeks. Like, keep doing that. Do it more. He has it in him.
He's the best play designer from an X's and O's standpoint.
Okay, I'll give you that. Although Andy Reid is damn good, and so is Sean Payton. But yeah, he's right there. Anoop says no dominant teams in the NFC or NFL. Everyone is beatable. That is true. There's a lot of bad teams too. Niners woke up.
Yeah, but just because they're beatable doesn't mean the Niners are going to be the ones doing the beating.
Niners woke up and can do major damage in 2021, but Trey Lance needs playmaking versus top teams. But they need his playmaking versus top teams.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and I see this is where I understand why Trey Lance isn't
what? Where'd you go? Come back.
Chance we've gotten.
Oh, you're back. You're good. Sorry. Do it again. We missed the whole thing.
I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, you're good.
What did I say? What was I talking about?
Trey Lance or
I get why they haven't been playing him, basically. Like, because it's looked super raw when he has played, no doubt about it. So I don't think putting him in, we talked about it, right? Like, making the quarterback change doesn't mean the Niners are going to become a better team. It just better equips them to win in the future because they're making the one guy who could make them a better team eventually, a way better team, better. But I don't think that his playmaking this year, honestly, would make a difference against those really good teams. I think more or less him and Jimmy would just in a different way.
All right. Well, I think we're getting to the end of our show. Vish, you gave me a ton of time today. Thank you. Do you need to go back to the you got to make more moves today, right? So anyway, I don't want to keep you.
Yeah, I'm in the city. I got to head back to the suburbs and yeah, Thanksgiving's holidays and spend time with my family and all that.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
Nice. Well, Shanahan talks in 25
minutes.
To watch Oh yeah, that'll be cool. Shanahan talks in 25 minutes. I'm gonna ask him about Lance, but I'm gonna try not to do it in a jerky way. Like, because I know he hates the Lance questions, but it's fair to be like, hey, like, why didn't you? No one asked him after the game, and it's because everyone knows he doesn't like the question. But dude, it's your first round pick. I'm not trying. You're winning. I'm not trying to say that you don't know what you're doing, but could you just give us a quote and an explanation as to why you did what you did?
You know what you should do?
What?
You shouldn't ask him straight up why. You should say, Kyle, in your last presser, you mentioned that one of the biggest ways that Trey Lance can improve is experience.
Yeah.
A common theme I've noticed around the NFL over the last 15, 20, or last whatever years is that in these blowout type wins, the young quarterback gets to come in for a few series. Is there a reason why it took you so long to put in Trey Lance? Was it game situation? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, you'll sound a little wordy, but at least you'll kind of, he'll get, when you mention Trey Lance, he'll go, and
he gets all upset, right? I'm like, man, come on. Yeah. It's a fair question. And I'm not saying that you did anything wrong, although I did say that. But I'm not arguing with you in a press conference. Just everyone would like to know your answer. So I'm asking you in a non-confrontational way.
I want to know his answer.
I'd like to know. He probably has a reason.
The funny thing is, I think his answer might, if he answers nicely, it might end up being something as dumb as what the other guy said. Oh, yeah. I wanted to get him in for a couple series. I just wasn't sure. I kind of forgot about it, and then I ended up playing last.
I'd love to hear what he has to say. Is he going to get on the offensive? Is he going to get on the defensive? Is he going to attack me? Is he going to be understanding? Is he going to Who knows? I honestly have no idea how I'll answer that question. So I'm going to let other people, I'm going to give people a chance. So I'm going to give someone a chance to ask that question because it's always me. And I don't need to be that person all the time. But
You already know the first question is going to be about Dre Greenlaw and his practice window.
That's okay. Look, beat writers have to get the injury stuff. I understand. But that's 3 minutes. 3 minutes of injury stuff. And then can we do, because look, it's not like they're 6-5, all right? 5-5, they still got questions to ask. Raise the bar a little bit, please. Vish, thank you.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. See you next time.
Wishing you the same.